there was an interesting article from ESPN's Field Yates put out over the weekend where he specifically laid out one move for each of the 32 teams in the league that teams should consider before the season starts. And I kind of wanted to gauge your opinion based on some of what Field put together here to see if you agree that that's a move that this team should be considering, or if you think that there's another player or item that should be a priority for them first and foremost. So let's go to the AFC East because I feel like this is one of the more talked about divisions in football for us this offseason. And let's start with the favorite in the Buffalo Bills. Field says if they have one priority, one more roster move that they should make, it's finding somebody and adding depth at the linebacker position. The group that they have right now, young and largely untested behind Matt Milano since Tremaine Edmonds left in free agency. Would you agree that that's the thing that's the area that they should prioritize going into the season that they have left?
Well, when they lose Mike Milano on their defense, it really affects them. He's an undersized safety at Boston College that they've transitioned into a linebacker, and he gives them speed, athleticism, and they can run. They're in their nickel. I would say that's an important position. I would say they also need to kind of increase the power of their offensive front if they possibly can, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why Stephon Diggs is upset, because maybe he thinks they're going to shift to more of a run game within a 12-back set. But, they signed Daquan Jones from Carolina to help their inside defensive front. They signed the Ford kid. Remember the little kid that played up at Seattle, Puna Ford? And he gives them more bulk inside. They signed Tim Settle. So I think they addressed the inside defensive tackle position. But I do think, they drafted Dorian Williams in the 3rd round to help in this area. But linebacker could be, to me, it's either linebacker or a slot receiver could help them.
And while we're on the Bills, just real quickly, in case some folks might have missed the shows over the weekend, good to note as well that this past Friday, the Bills added extensions for head coach Sean McDermott and their general manager Brandon Beane. Neither of them had a contract that was eminently expiring. Beane's deal was through 24. McDermott was signed through the 2025 season. What was just your first thought when they got these done?
Well, I think a lot of it is because the market changes. Coaches and executives are no different than players, right? So, when Shane Steichen gets a huge contract as a first-time head coach at Indianapolis, all of a sudden, wait a minute, D'Amico Ryans gets a bit. I mean, these new coaches aren't coming in making high coordinator wages. They're making significant money. And so it puts the guys that have won and been head coaches well behind the curve. And so, like players, it ultimately drives up the prices, and I think that's ultimately what we're seeing here.
Yeah, 4 straight playoff appearances for the Buffalo Bills in this tutelage. Their 7th season together as head coach and GM, but won at least 10 games each year since 2019. Only Kansas City can say the same, yet the Bills have yet to get over the hump and win that Super Bowl, so we'll see if this can be the year they put it all together or not. As for the Jets, what Field Yates said in his article was that their priorities, which I think are pretty obvious that we all agree, figure out a new contract for their defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams, get that done. But they added Aaron Rodgers as well, given that he's due just over $1 million this year and 108 next year. Probably need to restructure that. But agree or disagree, Quinnen Williams and Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I definitely think they're going to have to. I mean, they pushed Aaron Rodgers off into next year. There has to be some form of an agreement on he's going to get all his money. But they have to get Quinnen Williams signed, and I'm sure they will. I mean, those are the two big components. To me, the bigger need for the New York Jets is left tackle. Who's going to be the left tackle? Are they going to go with Dwayne Brown? Because if they go with Dwayne Brown at his age, can he stay healthy all through the season at 38? And is Becton going to stay in shape and going to be able to stay durable at right tackle? So to me, I think what jumps out, the two obvious ones are Rodgers and Williams. They're going to get that handled. To me, it's the offensive tackle position.
For the Patriots yesterday, we talked about how DeAndre Hopkins is the favorite to land with New England on his odds board, but you said you didn't think that will ultimately be his landing spot. That was what Field Yates had as his priority here. So for you, if not Hopkins, what's the roster move the Patriots should consider before the season?
I think they have to be. I think Dalvin Cook would really make them a really good team, because Ramondre Stevenson's really good, and if they had a 1-2 punch with Ramondre Stevenson, it would make Ramondre Stevenson better, and would give him less of Ramondo might mean more. And if they lost Ramondo to an injury, then I'm not sure Pierre Strong or Kevin Harris are going to be the answer, or J.J. Wilcox. I'm not sure of that. So J.J. Taylor, excuse me. So I would think running back, and then especially a multi-dimensional runner, someone who can play in the slot, someone who can play next to Stevenson. They need a James White type player.
I think a good position to be in if you're the New England Patriots at this point is two of the hottest free agent names that are available on the market right now are being tied to your team. But I would love it if Dalvin Cook ended up there. For Ramondre Stevenson, broke 200 carries and 1,000 yards last year. First time in his career, 5 touchdowns, had 66% of the snaps out running back. What did you think also? Our wonderful producer, Dan, today shared some comments with me from Kirk Herbstreit, who said that he thinks Mac Jones is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback in the near future, whether that's this year or next year. Do you agree that could be in his near future?
Well, look, he's got to stop turning the ball over. He did it as a rookie. His interception percentage was 2.4. Last year, as bad as the season was, it was at 2.4. He's got to protect the football. Look, Mac Jones is not going to beat anybody with his athleticism or his arm strength. He's got to beat people with his mind, making good decisions and throwing the ball on time. Last year, he didn't do that. His rookie year, he was impressive in that area. So he needs to do that. I think he needs to get himself good before he worries about becoming a Pro Bowl player.
Okay, last one here for the final 90 seconds. The Dolphins, as we close out this division here, extend defensive tackle Christian Watkins. A lot of fans felt this should have been a top priority as soon as the 2022 season ended. They haven't gotten it done yet. Is that the Dolphins' problem? Why are they dragging their feet here?
Well, I think it's the market, Stormy. I think we've seen a lot of defensive tackles get paid, and maybe Miami has a view of Wilkins that's different than Dwayne Payne's market or Quentin Williams' potential market or Tony Hargrave's market or all these guys who have gotten recently done. Miami might just say, hey, look, that's too expensive for us, to do this contract with him. We still want him on our team, but right now we're so far apart, it doesn't do any good to kind of go down that road. And I think that's going to be that's the problem that you get into, especially when you have a player who's good, but he's not at that level where the guys are getting paid. He's not at Quentin Williams' level. He's not at some of these other guys who have gotten paid. And I think ultimately he will get his money. If he makes it to the free agency, he'll get paid. Mm-hmm. That's Miami's concern. How do they work around that?
Yeah, Daron Payne sitting at $22.5 million average annual value. That is the expectation at the very least for Quinnen Williams.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.